Welcome to I'd Print That. I'm Andrew.
I'm Joe.
So, like we said in the last podcast, we're doing a back-to-back episode, little short ones, just so you guys still get some content from us. This is going to mostly be news-based, because obviously it's not another week later for us.
I've still got plenty of things to talk about.
We do, but it's not like we did this week in printing, because we didn't.
No.
We're talking to you in the future.
No, but things I hope to accomplish over the next, well, at least during my vacation over this next week. I plan on getting that Z-Rod installed.
Yeah.
I plan on checking, like I said in the last episode, checking on 24-volt power for my
heat bed.
My heat bed, because right now it heats up to 90-95 degrees pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But past that, it seems to not have probably not enough amps to push towards that print bed to really get that thing nice and warm.
Very cool.
So, but yeah, as far as it goes, nothing has happened in the last 5 minutes. So
actually, funny enough, I do have a project. It's going to be some 3D printery things. I'm buying a new barbecue. I love to smoke meat. It's very.
So how do you keep it lit? So to smoke it.
You're not being invited over for any more rooms. Anyway, I'm going to build an Arduino meat sensor.
Okay.
With multiple probes that's going to be attached to my local network. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I want it to be a server that I can log into and check. I'd rather it send me notifications. I'd actually thinking about making it tweet temperatures. If there's a radical change in temperature, or if I hit my desired temperature for the meat. So I think I'm going to pick up an Arduino, probably an Arduino Uno. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have to get the a breakout board for a little LCD screen. I'll have to get the breakout board for the meat probes. Mm-hmm. But I was looking online at wireless ones, because I want a wireless one so I don't have to keep running outside to check out what's going on out there. And they're like $40-$50, and it's not going to do exactly what I want it to do. Mm-hmm. There is one that has a phone app, but it's, of course, you guessed it, only for iPhones.
Right, yeah. And I don't think it would be too difficult to get it set up to tweet. If you have that account set for notifications on your phone, you get a little chirp, and it says, hey, I'm at probe 125.
Yeah. You know. So yeah, that is a project that's going to be coming up for me.
Now, are you going to do that where you have a probe that you stick in the meat, and also one for the actual barbecue enclosure itself?
One will be ambient temperature inside the actual smoker, and then I plan on having 4 meat probes and then an ambient temperature probe that'll just kind of hang inside the smoker. And the big reason that I really want to get one of these, because generally I don't mind, my little smoker has a probe built into it that you just push a button and it tells you what the meat probe's at. And I also don't rely on that 100%. I always do a regular thermometer.
No, and when they build the barbecues, especially like the one I just got here a couple weeks ago, it has a thermometer on it. Mm-hmm.
They're not all that accurate.
They're not that accurate because they go to the lowest bidder. There's variation in those. You can replace them with better ones. Mm-hmm. Even with that, it's best to just pay attention to what you're cooking.
Yeah,
that's the whole thrill of barbecuing.
Yeah, and while it's fun to just look at what you're doing while you're smoking, if anybody else has smoked meat out there, the saying is, if you're looking, you're not cooking.
Exactly. If
you open it up, you lose 10-15 degrees of temperature instantly. And if you're looking at it for any amount of time, you're losing temp, and that can add hours to your cook times. Like I do briskets, and a brisket will take 18 to 20 hours to smoke.
No. Last week was the first time I've ever done rotisserie chicken on a barbecue.
That's fun, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. And the way my barbecue at least is oriented, it's perpendicular to the direction of my deck. Mm-hmm. So I could actually walk behind it and look between there's a gap between where the lid closes and the barbecue itself body is. So I can actually just look in there and see what it looks like as it's cooking. That way I don't have to open it up and lose
The temp.
all that temp.
So yeah, I mean, that'll be fun. And like I said, the big push is I'm making a very large volume smoker. I plan on making one that sits on a trailer.
Why?
Why not?
What are you going to do with it? I mean, do you plan on feeding
There's been a couple
the homeless
calls.
population of Spokane?
Why not? There's been a few calls for a large smoker like that I've had, and I ended up using my barbecue, and it just takes hours. Actually, one thing I've always wanted to do is do small volume catering.
Okay.
Like do a couple weddings a year, a couple get-togethers. I love barbecuing. I love having people over for barbecue. I think it's fun. So yeah, that's something I want to do. And I'm a welder and metal worker, and is among too many other things. And it's just one of those projects. It's like, well, why not? I just have to get a hold of the materials and make it happen.
Yeah, no, it's not that I'm saying you shouldn't do that. It's just curious.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be a reverse flow smoker. It's going to go kind of all out. I'm going to either plan on doing a 250 gallon or larger propane tank to build the smoker out of, or a furnace oil tank.
Right.
And yes, all of you going, oh, you gotta clean it and you gotta do it. Yes, I know. Trust me. I know.
I was just gonna say mention that, but I know there's ways that you can.
You burn them out usually.
Yeah.
You just start a fire in it and you just let it get as hot as it can, and it burns everything off, and then it's fine. So don't freak out, folks.
We're trained professionals.
Yeah, somewhat. I've done blacksmithing. I've done forging. I know a little bit about metal. I know the dangers. Definitely nothing galvanized.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't try and cook on anything galvanized.
Even get galvanized warm, the poison gas it lets off. Actually, in the blacksmithing community, there's a forum I follow. One of the main guys that started it died a few years ago. He was doing what you do with galvanized. You burn the galvanization off, but he did it in his shop.
In an enclosed space?
And it killed him.
Has to be ventilated, people.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it kind of has a little bit of 3D printing involved, mostly because I'll be 3D printing the case, the enclosure for whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, that's...
Well,
I hope to try my samples out this week. I haven't got a chance to do any of them.
So that's what you're going to do when you leave here. You got a...
I have
roommate coming over.
Yeah, my old roommate's coming, but he's not coming over till this evening at about 6 o'clock.
But you said you're going to smoke up some meats. And
I am going to start the smoker. I'm going to do a big tri-tip and a couple racks of ribs.
Right on.
And then I think I'm just going to finally break down, pull the print bed off the one printer, put it on the other one, just to print with it.
Just to get something going.
Yeah, and it's not like it's going to break it pulling the print bed off.
No.
So, yeah, that's about it for 3D printery things for me. I don't know if you have any more.
Not really. Oh, yes, I do, actually.
Uh-oh.
You got your Filament 1 filament last week.
I did.
I got my Filament 1 filament here 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And it took me having to poke them and say, hey, guys, where's my stuff? And they finally said, oh, sorry, they sent it right out. And going through the list of filaments that I purchased, the samples I purchased, I noticed that there was no black and no red.
So did I.
So what looks like what they did is instead of sending black and red, they included a brown PLA and the clear flex.
And then I did get that. I did not get the brown.
Right.
And neither of us got the black and red.
No, I think they just replaced the black and red with something else. Well, that's fine. I'm just more interested in, in seeing what, how they work.
Yeah.
Depending upon how they print will depend on if I order anything else from them. But I need to make sure that they are going to send the product out when they say they're going to. I do think that you are correct that this whole thing blew up in their face.
Yeah, and I think because we found out on a news feed that we follow, and it's like, oh wow, this is a big deal, and I don't think they were expecting it to get that big.
No,
I was thinking that maybe the few followers they have on Facebook and Instagram saw it and went, oh cool, but no, it went, and it's
I can understand being swamped, but being swamped and then not saying anything, at least put a notification on your website. Hey guys, we're working on this. We got a whole lot more interest in this than we initially expected. We're a little back ordered, but we'll fulfill orders as quickly as possible. That's the correct way to do it.
Yeah.
But you live, you learn. So
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Also, another thing I plan on, I hope to do, is get that X-axis belt holder replaced.
Oh yeah, needed to reprint one. They did send you the STL file, right?
They sent me the STL file, so I will be actually redesigning one, and I'm just gonna send one off to them. Say, hey, here's a updated one. I'm hopefully will be able to get something out of it. Maybe I can exchange that for some 3D printery type things.
Actually, we did get a hold of them, or Joe got a hold of them.
They
did say that they would definitely work with us on. We purchased the printer, test it out. They'll give us our money back.
Yeah, basically it's, I would go to the Amazon store that they referred me to. I'd purchase the printer, and if I want to just test it and return it, I would let them know. They'd refund my money and send me the printer. And then I would just test it, ship it back to a place in California. Or if I want to test and keep, they'd send me to the store. I would let them know about the purchase, and then I would get a discount. Pretty decent discount.
Yeah, which is really cool.
There's 3 that they want me to check out if we're interested in doing it. One is a Delta style printer with a dual extruder.
And that's one I'm interested in for sure.
Yep. There's one that is a color blending, has a color blending print head on it. So 2 filaments in, 1 extruder, but it can take and blend those colors together. So that's how you see, like, some prints, like little vases, have a color band, a different color band in the middle. That's how they do that.
Yeah.
And then the third one is a new type of Prusa. I believe it's single head on that one also, but they have the actual control board, the power supply, and the LCD is a separate box.
It's like a power pack.
It's like
into it.
Pack that you plug into. It's almost like they're gearing up for that little power pack to be modular. So if you want to unplug it, plug it into a different printer, you could do that. The only thing that the actual print body has is the print bed, the Nemo motors, the extruder, and
has all the hardware.
The hardware, yeah. Pretty much no other electronics on it except for the actual thermistors and the Nemo motors.
And this is really cool. I mean, this is what we've been trying to gear towards. We want to be able to test it out and let you guys know what we think of it.
Right.
I'm gonna try. I doubt anything will come from it, but because I have been in the DaVinci world for a while, I'm gonna try to get a hold of them and say this is what we do. I'll give definitely honest,
right.
Because DaVincis do have their goods and bads.
Sure.
But get a hold of them and say, hey, if you guys are up for it, I'd like to do. We'd like to do kind of a partnership kind of thing where you come out with a product like we'll talk about here in a little bit. They came out with a new Pro.
Right.
And it's not available in the U.S. yet, but hey, ship me one, and we could be your first U.S. testers of it, and
right.
Give you honest. It's not like we're just asking, give us free stuff.
No,
we want to be able to help out the community, and
we're not opposed to testing and returning.
No, not at all. I would be happy to. Not saying I wouldn't turn down you sending me a free printer, but that's not what we're solely in this for. We want the information. We want the information to be public.
Yeah. So, along those lines, I can just jump right into it. The award for busiest company of 2016 so far definitely goes to XYZ Printing. While many companies introduced new printers at CES, XYZ announced at this year's show they would be releasing a whopping 7 new printers in 2016. That is not including accessories, apps, or the brand new Steam curriculum program. April 8th was the official release of one of those new printers, the DaVinci 1.0 3-in-1 which is XYZ's contribution to the growing number of multi-purpose 3D printers on the market, featuring a built-in high-resolution 3D scanner along with an optical laser engraver. It also has the capability of printing with ABS and PLA material.
Which
Now,
they're listening. They're listening to people that don't want a printer that just does one thing.
right, having a boring printer that does, hey, I'm just gonna do this one task. If I had the option of a printer or a printer with a engraver or a printer with an engraver and a scanner, I would go with a printer, engraver, and scanner.
Oh, heck yeah. Just, yeah.
As long as it's affordable, easy to use, and I might be able to do other things that I want to with it, make modifications to it. That's one thing that I was actually, when we were first getting into this and we were looking at designing our own printer, and that's one thing, you had just picked up your little laser engraver and we got to looking at it, and there's really no difference between the laser engraver and a 3D printer.
No, other than minus an axis.
Right. It doesn't, it only uses X and Y. There is no Z axis. So there's no reason why we couldn't take and put a multi-head carriage on a 3D printer, install the laser engraver, and then just push it code. Because all it needs is an off, on, and X and Y.
Yeah. Off, on, X, and Y, and speed.
Right.
Burn time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely easy enough to do. It's definitely going to be one of the uses my mostly printed CNC is going to have.
Oh, mine too, definitely.
If I ever get around to doing that.
It's a slow project. It's coming along. So the integrated scanner includes a 360-degree automatic rotating platform and dual laser scanning technology. It is extremely user-friendly with automatic imaging that takes only 5 minutes, and the incorporated software automatically converts multi-angle scans into one image. The printer itself features an aluminum print bed for even heat distribution, an easily changeable extruder, wireless connectivity, and an included calibration system. The revamped XYZ Pro software includes improved slicing speeds and is compatible with third-party G-code. It also manages your laser engraver design and settings. So some specifications on this machine. The printer has a 200 by 200 by 190 millimeter print volume.
Yeah, which
So
is
just a little less Z-axis. Layer thickness ranges from 100 to 400 microns and has a 0.4 millimeter nozzle diameter.
I'm very curious to see if they stuck with the same extruder assembly. The little extruder cartridge.
Right.
It's a good idea. Unfortunately, it was poorly executed in the early DaVinci 1.0s. I know the DaVinci 1.0As had better cooling, so they didn't get as much heat creep, so you could potentially, with layer cooling and some chamber cooling, print PLA out of the box, so
Right.
to say.
And so the scanner, it has a scan resolution of 3 by 3 centimeters up to 15 by 15 centimeters at 2,140 points per centimeter squared,
Okay.
and has a scan accuracy of 0.25 millimeters.
Wow.
It's pretty decent.
Yeah.
That's a pretty decent scanner. Now, unfortunately, like Andrew said, the 3-in-1 printer is only available in Europe at the moment, though XYZ's US division currently carries the 1.0 Pro, which retails for $699, and there is a laser engraver for $199, and carries the same features minus the built-in scanner.
Okay.
And I do expect, though, to see the 3-in-1 in the U.S. here at some point.
And that's one thing DaVinci or XYZ does capitalize on is, like you can see, as we noticed with the 1.0 when we added the power supply, it had everything minus the population on the board and the couple extra hardware pieces for the dual extruder for the Duo.
Right.
They use the same chassis for both of them, same motherboard. So yeah, and they're making the right steps in the right direction,
Right.
standardizing hardware. I'm really curious to see if they're much better. I do know that the 1.0 Pro that's available in the US already has many hardware mods. People are already putting an E3D V6 on them. There's a full carriage rebuild on Thingiverse to put that in there.
Right.
So I have a feeling they're sticking with that cartridge, the extruder cartridge design, and people are just unhappy with it, unfortunately.
By listening to people, that's helping 3D printing become a growing industry.
Yeah.
And speaking of growing industry, I have a little bit of news about that. So the sales of desktop 3D printers have increased. They're soaring, as they say, and additive manufacturing is now a $5.1 billion industry.
Yeah.
So one of the less talked about topics in technology these days is 3D printing. Even though we talk about it, there's still not a lot of discussion on it. I was in for a doctor's appointment here middle of the week. Mm-hmm. And my doctor asked me, what do you do for fun? What kind of hobbies do you do? And when I told him I was part of a 3D printing podcast, he had all kinds of questions. He was like, oh, really? And asked, what kind of computer does it take to run? Does it require a lot of computing power? No, it really doesn't take a whole lot of computing power. Really, all you need to do is, it needs to take the 3D model, slice it, convert it to G-code, and then you can take a little SD card, plug it into the printer, and that's it. You just tell it to print.
Print standalone.
Right. It really doesn't require a printer. You can hook it up to a printer, but it's fairly simple. It's straightforward. Mm-hmm. As Wohler's associate notes in its latest report on the state of the additive manufacturing industry, it's quite lucrative business to be in. As a whole, the 3D printing industry grew to be an impressive $5.1 billion in 2015, an almost 26% increase compared to 2014. That's a heck of a jump.
That's substantial, and it's good to see. I mean, because unfortunately, like Solid Doodle having to close their doors.
Right.
It's
3D
unfortunate.
Systems having to cut back on things.
And it's unfortunate, and it's almost like you want to be like, just hold on, guys, it's going to get better.
They're getting to a point in some of these where they're laying off so many people, they're making so many cutbacks that they just haven't been able to do that. Mm-hmm. PinShape was a company that we had read about 2 weeks ago that was being shut down, and its users managed to scrape up some money to at least let them float along for a little longer so they could find additional investors to keep the site running.
And a lot of it was the community.
Right. So it goes to show you that people are willing to help, especially if you have a good product.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
And in addition to that, I am one of that 26% increase. I got into 3D printing last year. Mm-hmm. I brought you to the dark side. Yeah. You brought me to the dork side. Whoa. Hey, see what I did there?
Yeah. Spaceballs.
So, according to the report, sales of desktop 3D printers were up almost 70% in 2015 when compared to the year before, with over 278,000 3D printers priced below $5,000 being shipped to companies and schools. The industry as a whole is expected to grow to $12.8 billion by 2018 and over $21 billion by 2020. The research firm speculates that 3D printing is quickly transforming from a prototyping to a production future, and that opportunities for additive manufacturing in production applications are orders of magnitude greater than for modeling and prototyping. The money is in manufacturing, not prototyping. Mm-hmm. And that's where places like 3D Hubs come in. Mm-hmm. You can order whatever you want from
Be it local a trinket or anything.
RC car parts.
Yeah, and that's a big one. We have a guy at work that he's heavily into 10 scale RC, and he has a friend that's developing a motor. I'm not going to give much away because he does plan on actually marketing this one day. But I've been printing the motor mounts that he's been using since he found out I do 3D printing.
Yep.
And I've printed many renditions of it for him, and it's giving him an opportunity to, without going into a machine shop and having a piece of aluminum machine for it, I can print it in plastic for him, and he can test it out and see if it works.
Yeah. And that's...
I really need to get on 3D hubs. I have a hub, but I took it offline a while ago when I started having problems with my DaVinci.
And I've been going to do that. I'm going to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few things that we can actually integrate into the website where we can offer services for 3D hubs and other things.
Mm-hmm.
So a little marketplace.
Yay!
Yeah,
Yay! Money good.
it is. If we can get hold of even 0.001% of this
Yeah,
$5 billion dollars, it'll at least help make what we do here better.
Yeah, and easier. We inject our money into this to make it work. Not trying to make you feel bad or guilt trip you into giving us money, but
Give us money.
but if we can find a way that'll help us put money into it that we're not having to
Right.
do from our day-to-day job.
The only other thing that I have in the news is this goes back to MIT. It seems like every other thing that we've talked about revolves around MIT.
They are definitely heavily into the verge of technology.
Yeah, they're brainy folks. So, a team from MIT's Computer Science and Artificial Intelligence Lab believes that they have created a new way to 3D print whole robots. Not just parts of them, entire robots.
Yeah, the whole thing.
Yep. The breakthrough that researchers have made centers around creating what's being called printable hydraulics, a way to create liquid-filled pumps inside of the manufacturing process.
Mm-hmm.
The technique involves using an inkjet 3D printer that releases drops of material less than half the width of a human hair. For structural areas, protopolymer is placed on the deck and then hardened with a UV light, while the liquid portions are left alone. After lots of trial and error using different combinations of solids and liquids, the team was able to find a winning setup that can create a working robot in one print sessions.
And it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's the little thing they printed is kind of creepy looking.
Well, all they do is they plug a motor into this thing, they turn it on, and
voila, it runs around.
It runs. It's a little six-legged walking robot. Check
like
the video out. Kind of cool, especially with some of the other things that they're doing with the 3D printable hydraulic things.
The little grippy hands.
Yep. In order to test the principles, the team built a hexapod that moved thanks to 12 hydraulic pumps built into its body. All that was required then was to cram a motor, and it was away, taking just 22 hours from the start of the build to its conclusion. So while it's still in its early days, it is hoped that the technique can be improved upon to the point where they could be whipped up from scratch in an emergency, kind of like Grandma's last-minute cooking recipe, but for hauling citizens out of disaster zones.
And robots.
Take the tsunamis that have happened recently, or earthquake disasters, or anything like that. If you can take and print a whole hydraulic robot that you can just load things onto and they can pack things off.
Yeah, and no human lives are in danger.
Right. Yeah, cool. Now, as far as gaming things goes, I sent you a link. I don't know if you've seen it before, but there's a game that's coming out called Horizons Zero Dawn.
I did. I looked at it. Unfortunately, it's not on PC, so yeah.
I thought that's a PC. I know they
PlayStation only.
It's a PS4 exclusive.
Yep.
A lot of the PS4 games, though, you do find on PC.
Okay. It said PS4 exclusive.
Right. That means they're not releasing it for Xbox. And that's the same thing with No Man's Sky. It's not for Xbox at this point in time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not realize that.
Yeah, it's PS4 and PC. So it's just going to depend on the developers. But it is it's a pretty cool looking game.
It's really cool.
It's set in a future where, for whatever reason, mankind's existence has dwindled. They've disappeared. A lot of the knowledge of technology was lost.
I think they called them the old ones.
Right. Your cities are still around. They're in disrepair. It's like technology at some point has risen up and become sentient. So you have these biomechanical creatures that wander around, like big dinosaurs and things like that. I don't know exactly what the point of the game is, but in one of the trailers, the female character is trying to.
She said hunt.
Right, she's recovering some green cylinders of liquid from some of the creatures. Mm-hmm. So it's like this liquid is something that they need for whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah. It looks cool. I mean, it's definitely the almost plug and play post-apocalyptic gameplay, but it's just a whole new spin on the post-apocalyptic and why it's there.
Right, and they don't necessarily call it post-apocalypse though. There's still a mystery of what happened.
Pretty sure when the robots or a robots overlord come, it's going to be an apocalypse.
Well,
They're
of types,
kill 'em
yes. But it doesn't state that the robots rose up to kill everybody.
Yeah.
Maybe it was something happened and the robots surviving was just a byproduct of that. Mm-hmm. Or maybe something else happened. It's hard to say.
It is, but it looks really fun.
It does. And when I first saw that here a year ago, I was kind of excited. It has a 2016 release date, no time specified within 2016. So I would imagine we're looking at probably closer to the holiday season, like
November,
late
December.
fall, early winter.
Definitely looks cool. Definitely worth picking up. I hope they release it on PC because I don't plan on buying a PS4. If I go console again, it's going to be an Xbox. It's just because I'm that kind of guy. But, yeah, probably by that time they'll have a PS4 emulator.
Good luck. They don't really have a 360 emulator for PC.
Really?
Nor do they, no. Mm-mm. And same thing with the Xbox One, at least. I think you can do streaming from your Xbox to your PC.
Yeah. But that's a Microsoft thing.
Right, and that's, I haven't tested it. It's a Windows 10 thing, and I don't know how much somebody can do on the Xbox while you're using on the computer.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things. Why?
For those people who want keyboard and mouse functionality, or just want to sit at a desk and use their monitors rather than play on a couch in front of a big TV, which seems crazy to me.
Yeah.
But some people like that experience a little bit more. They're a little more used to it.
That's true. And one thing it will help out are YouTubers, streamers.
Yes.
Because they're generally sitting at a desk with a capture device on their computer.
Right. And in the past, I've hooked up my 360 before I got my One, so I could plug it into one of my monitors, and all I have to do is just change the inputs. Mm-hmm. So I'd have my computer hooked up to a DVI input, have my Xbox sitting there plugged into the same monitor on HDMI, and if I want to play, I just reach over there, punch the input button, grab my Xbox controller, and away I went. So I'd play Battlefield just sitting at my computer desk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that does it for this second episode of this week.
Yeah. I'm Andrew.
I'm Joe. And remember, if you can imagine it, you can print it.